There's our sound. Hello everyone and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. It's Season 11. We're straight back into it. No break for Tier 2. We had the season finale last week and the season opener today, thanks to EA releasing their game so early. Hello to the Omp and Oliver in the chat. Welcome in. You join us for a very exciting time because it's the start of the APPF1 season. This season we're starting with Tier 2. It'll be the first race of the week as opposed to the last. So we'll have Tier 1 Australia on Friday and Elite Australia on Sunday. And both should be streamed and commentated, but on different channels. But welcome to the new season. We're here in Australia for the season opener, as you can see. Let's get all of our details enabled. We are in some wet conditions. We've got intermediate tyres out on the track. We've got Palang spinning through turn 2. So not a good start for the Williams driver at all. Who else is going to be first on lap? It's the Season 9 champion, Lawrence D. Here he comes through turn 1. Not too bad from Lawrence there. It's through turn 2. A little bit careful, I would say, from the former champ. But through down towards turn 3 again, missing the apex. So I think just feeling out the track at the moment is Lawrence. Is Madman Ollie Oliver. Welcome. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you. Ready to watch shenanigans. Well, yeah, it's going to be a good season opener, I'm sure, here in Australia. Lawrence D going to try and get us underway for the session. Try and get the first lap in, down towards the new, through the new, newly profiled now straight, down towards turns, I believe, 9 and 10. Maybe it's 10 and 11, I'm not sure. But down towards the final sector now. Brakes very early for this corner in the wet conditions. A little oversteer on the exit, but keeps it under control. Through the last couple corners comes Lawrence. 2 to go for the Alpine driver for this season. The Constructors champion in Aston Martin with Jacko last season, and the Drivers champion from season 12. Palang obviously doesn't set a good opener. Sumo sets a 29.6. Lawrence is 7.5 tenths down on that. But yeah, Palang spun, so he obviously wasn't going to be up there. Daphne Hillis goes a lot slower than Sumo as well. So a strong opening lap from Sumo Gilligan as Scott comes up to the line. Who was that? It was Scott. Scott to P3, 1.2 seconds behind Sumo. Who's going to be next? It's going to be his teammate. Line. It's a 29-0 for Aces versus Kings, and that is more like it. We're going to see how good that time is relative to the rest of the grid. Sion, who's on a different account, that is Enchilada Dad from last season. He's just on a different account because EA wouldn't let him sign into his proper account today for some reason. Someone's coming across the line. I believe that's Mania in the Aston Martin. Through he goes to P6. It's a 32.3, a long way off, so some improvement to be made there. We've got the McLaren of SDRS Racing, who's another driver under a different name. He's just changed usernames. He is S. Patterson from last season, for anyone who recognises that name. He's up to P3 on his first run. Not bad at all. What about AP? It's P6 for AP, a 31.0 in his first lap in Tier 2. I believe ever. I don't think he's raced in Tier 2 before in APPF1, in the league he created. But here he is. Palang improves on his second attempt. It's P4 for him. 1.2 seconds down on Aces, who's looking very formidable until now. LB beats him by 15 thousandths of a second. The two-time Tier 2 champion right up there again. Jack Alacco, the defending champion for this season, up to P3 in the Alpine. Scott improves to P5 in the meantime, and we've got to keep an eye on everyone here because everyone's going to be doing more than one run at a time. What about Aces versus Kings? Can he retake provisional pole? No, he can't. He lost all the time time in Sector 3. He was 3/10 up in the middle sector. He's lost all of it in the final sector, but clearly Aces has got more to find, as I think a lot of these drivers do at this point. Hello to Lupper in the chat as well. Good to see you. And Rafferrari, hi mate. Good to see you in the chat. Shame you couldn't make it for the season opener, but hopefully you can be back for China next week. But yeah, I echo your sentiment. Good luck to all the drivers out there. Season opener is always a nerve-wracking time as SDRS Racing now goes to pole, a 28.7, and these times are going to continue tumbling down as the drivers get more used to the conditions. Alex G goes to P4 in the Mercedes, just under a tenth ahead of his teammate as it stands. Jackalacco has invalidated, no improvement for him. Palang, no improvement as well. I don't know who just improved then. I think it was Aces. No, it wasn't. It was someone else. I don't know who it was. I think it was Lawrence, actually. Darth Nihilus improves to P4 in the Red Bull. He's the Season 7, Tier 2 champion. It might even have been Season 6. I can't remember now. But it was a while ago. He's reserving for this season, but he's made it to the season opener, which is great to see. Aces into the pits. He's bottled it again. He was 3/10 up in the middle sector twice in a row, and he's bottled it both times. So he's going to be frustrated with himself. We've got the Aston Martin of Mania coming to the line now. Hopefully he can improve. He's 2.6 seconds down on provisional pole. I think actually this is just an I was about to say an outlap. Huge slide from Mania out the final corner, nearly binned it into the wall. Lucas Rowe coming for his first run across the line. It's a 30.7, a long way back from pole. What can Tier do? He's invalidated. Robsu goes to P5 in the AlphaTauri this season. He was in the Red Bull last season, I believe. With Lupper as teammate, but he's now got LB as teammate. That's a formidable driver pairing, I have to say. Sumo Gilligan coming through the last couple corners as well. It looks like a Williams has binned. I think that's Palang out of the final corner. Sumo's got to be careful to avoid him, and does. Someone's improved. I think that was Lawrence up to P6 in the Alpine. What can Sumo do? No improvement there from him. Scott's invalidated, Lucas Rowe's invalidated, Tier's invalidated. Everyone's struggling with track limits at the moment. What about Jackalacco? He's got no front wing, so that's definitely not going to be a competitive lap time from him at this stage. LB, what's he doing? He's a 10.5 up in the middle sector. Have I seen what happened in Finland today? No, I haven't. Seems wet. Yes, it does indeed seem wet, Rick. As LB obviously lost all his time in the final sector, just like Aces. Everyone's struggling with the final sector today. It does include the infamous turns 9 and 10, so I'm not too surprised by that, but still. A lot of people losing all the time that they gain in the rest of the track in that final sector, which has got to be frustrating for the drivers. Lawrence, in the meantime, coming through into the final sector, but he's only got 10% ERS, so he is going to struggle to improve, but that was pretty good, right on the limit out of that corner. As he's going to be the next to set a time through the final corner and down towards the line. What's it going to be for the Season 9 Tier 2 champion? It's P4. It's a 2/10 improvement. Second row for him. Not bad at all. Sumo has binned it out the final corner when he was 3/10 up. And the long line of drivers who have destroyed their own laps in the final sector continues, and it continues with Aces as well, who's done it at the same time. Enchilada has been disqualified for going backwards. That's unlucky. I'm sure it wasn't anything disqualification worthy, but he's going to start from the back as a result of that. Tier in P6 in the meantime in the Ferrari. Good improvement from him. What about Scott? He's just starting a lap, I think. Who else is on a lap? That's an Alpine of Lawrence coming across the line. Sorry, that's Palang? No, I'm not sure who that is. Oh, it's an Aston Martin. It's green. I couldn't quite see, but he's coming into the pit lane. It's Mania. Robsu coming down through the last couple corners, see if he can improve on his lap. The Finnish driver through the final corner, a little bit of a wobble on entry and exit from Robsu, but down to the line he goes. It's looking not too bad at all. It's looking pretty good. It's a 28.4 from Robsu. Goes to provisional pole. What a brilliant lap that is, and that sets down a marker from Robsu, who was sort of been slowly regaining his form that he had when he first joined APPF1, but I think the rain is easing off. LB thinks so too. He's testing out the softs in the pit lane. The rain definitely easing, and this session is going to get very, very interesting towards the end here. It's going to be the last few minutes where it's all decided by the looks of things. Tier improves to P3 in the Ferrari. He loves the wet conditions, and today is no different. Clearly, Lawrence coming through sector 2. Jacko, no improvement for him. The Haas of Scott coming to the line. It's P3 for Scott. This track is getting better and better. What about Aces? Doesn't bin it out the final corner this time, but I think he's starting a lap. Yes, he is. So we'll keep track of him later on. There's an Aston Martin of AP Pals coming across the line for P9. As the track continues to improve, Darth Nihilus just starting a lap. Same with SDRS Racing coming around the final corner. Who else? There's a Mercedes. Alex G in sector 3. He's 7.5 tenths up on his previous best, but that was a little wobble, and that's even more of a wobble, and he's going to be heading into the pit lane for sure. Yeah, he's ruined his lap there, and he's not going to be happy about that one. Lucas Rose starting a lap as well. He's currently sitting in last place, so he'll be hoping that he can get something better on the board this time. The Alpha Tauri of LB coming through sector 1 on an out lap, as Robsu comes across the line to start another lap. Lawrence improves again to P4. Not the first time he's been there this evening. Tier through the last couple of corners. 4.5 minutes to go in this treacherous session. But it's slowly getting less and less treacherous by the looks of things. Tier into the pits. I think it has stopped raining, so this is going to be a frantic last couple of minutes in this session. 4 minutes to go. How many improvements can there be? Jack Alaco, defending champion, goes onto the front row in P2. There's another Haas of Aces coming through sector 3. There's an Aston Martin of AP Palfs ahead of him. Can AP do anything? No, he's not improving by the looks of that time, and neither is Aces. What about Darth Nihilus, season 6 tier 2 champion, through the final corner? What can he accomplish here as he comes down towards the line? It's not going to be provisional pole, but it's going to be close. P3 for the Mexican driver as McLaren SDRS Racing destroys the provisional pole time. It's a 27.6 as the track continues to improve. Who's going to be last across the line? That might well be what decides pole here. Robsu into the pits. He's not got a lot of time, but he does have just enough time to set one more lap before the end of the session. Anyone in the pits now is only going to get one more lap. Maybe they'll wait right until the end and see if the slicks will go for it. Scott's having a look at the slicks in the pit lane. It's all going out now. The strategies, the machinations, all coming to bear. Lucas Rowe coming through the first corner to start his next lap. A huge slide out of turn 2. I don't know how he held on to that. That's great control. When he's coming down towards turn 3, who's next across the line? Looks like an Aston Martin, possibly. No, that's Alpine heading into the pits. We've got LB on a lap, but he's invalidated. We've got the Aston Martin of Mania on an out lap. Sumo's into the wall, or no, he's off the track, actually. He's brake too late, I think. For that penultimate corner. Maybe he's having brake issues. He said he was having brake issues earlier, so hopefully that hasn't come back to bite him again. That would be really unfortunate if so. SDRS Racing coming back across the line. He's into the pits, so no more laps for SDRS Racing, who's currently on provisional pole. Darth Nihilus coming to the line. He's invalidated. And yeah, SDRS retires from the session, but he currently sits on pole. Can anyone dethrone him? LB is going to get one more go at it. Maybe two more goes. It's going to be close with the clock, but I think he'll get two more goes. But he's invalidated this one, and he's just going to send it now. 1.5 minutes to go. Last few drivers coming across the line will get 2 runs at it, but only just. The Ferrari of Lucas Rowe comes to P4. He's going to get 2 more goes as well if he gets across the line in time, which he should do. He should have about 7 seconds to spare. Tier is going to be a lot closer to the limit as he comes down towards turn 1, but there's an Alpine in the way. Oh no, who is it? It's Lawrence. Lawrence is going to find himself with a very severe penalty for that. That's hugely significant for Tier's qualifying hopes. He's not going to be able to set a lap now. He's going to run out of time, I think, before the end of the session. He's pushing to try and get out a lap. Scott's on the softs. Palang is on the softs. They're trying them out. They're giving them a go. With 55 seconds are good enough, and if they are, they could be rocketing to pole position, Scott and Palang. Lucas Rowe on a lap in the Ferrari. It's his last run. He's purple in sector 2, but he's very wide at turn 10, and that's going to cost him quite a few tenths. Darth Nihilus to the line. Can he go on pole? No, he can't. He's a long way off, 6.5 tenths off the McLaren of SDRS. P2 for Darth as it stands. Lucas Rowe's improving by 2.5 tenths. Brakes are being weird again, says Sumo. Oh no, disaster for Sumo. I did suspect it. There was a Williams in the way there for Lucas Rowe. I don't know if he'll feel distracted by that. If he does, he can report it. Alex G up to P2, LB to P3. There's a Williams. Oh, huge crash as the Williams reverses back onto the track. I think that was Palang. Lucas Rowe doesn't improve. What about Aces? He's on a lap right now. Tier is not going to get a run here. It's out of time, and he's going to be fuming at Lawrence for that one. Mania's on a lap. He's going to be the first to set a lap of these last drivers. Alex, LB, Darth, Robsu, Aces, Lucas Rowe, Mania, the last drivers left on the circuit. The softs have not worked. Scott and Palang, well, Palang obviously spun and caused that contact, but Scott in the pits on the soft tyres, so nothing for him as Mania comes around the final corner. What can he do? He's currently 14th. Can he improve? Yes, he can. P5 for Mania, but will it stay like that? Darth Nihilus is 1.1 seconds up. The track's improving at a rapid rate now. It's stopped raining. The sun is out. I can see it, the lens flare on the camera. Darth Nihilus is going to go to pole position here. It's a 27-1. Can anyone else do this? Ghosting is on, Jacko, 100%, 1,000,000%. It's definitely on. I saw it was on. LB coming through in sector 3. Alex G into the pits. Aces into the pits. No improvement for him either. What can LB do? He's not improving either. What about Robsu, the Finnish driver? Can he take pole position here? Through the final corner. Here goes Robsu to the line. Is it going to be enough? No, it's enough for P3, but nothing for P1. What about Lucas Rowe? He's stopped on the side of the track, and that is that for a breakneck qualifying session as the weather improved. Across the 18 minutes, it's Darth Nihilus who takes pole position. Now that's a throwback of a phrase to say. SDRS racing with him on the front row. Great effort from him, but I feel like all those drivers who bottled their last laps could have had a shot for pole as well. Let's just quickly prove that ghosting is on, because it 100% is. Off for griefing enabled, so ghosting is on, I promise. But there we go. It's Darth on pole, SCRS in P2. I wonder what the weather's going to be like for the race, but there is your grid. The reserve Darth Nihilus, Season 6 champion, on pole position, with SDRS Racing in P2. Great quali for him. Robsu and Alex make up the second row, with LB and Mania on row 3. Aces and Jacko on the 4th row. Lucas Rowe and Scott on row 5, with Lawrence and Tier 11th and 12th. AP and Sumo make up row 7. Palang, And enchilada that really is. In the Williams, 15 and 16 have got a lot of work to do. By the way, everyone, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 championships, 5 Tier 2 championships on the grid, or Drivers' Championships on the grid today. That's brilliant. You love to see that, and I wonder what the likes of Jacko and Lawrence in particular can do from low down on the grid, because they are famed for having the race pace to compete after poor qualifying. So looking forward to this one. It's raining again. It's still wet for the race. Oh boy, okay. I wonder if it will stay wet or if it'll dry out later on or get even wetter. It looks only like light rain at the moment. But we'll see how well this goes. Palang is not showing any confidence. He says he's out thanks to the rain. Well, we'll see. But we will have a formation lap once everyone's got their setups in. And, well, I am given what Palang is saying in the Discord, I'm half expecting him to head straight into the pits at the end of lap 1 and retire. Which, you know, would be very... if you can't race in the wet, then you're not a complete driver, is what I will say. It's a hot take, but you know, you've got to at least be able to drive in the wet. It's fine to be not very good in the wet. I know I'm not, but well, it takes me a while with the wet. But yeah, everyone on the inters. But you've got to at least, you know, be able to give it a go and drive and see what happens. So yeah, just giving up because there's rain on the track is, you know, not something I would expect. But we're off for the formation lap. We'll do try and do a very quick helmet review. So Darth and Hillis back on the grid after a long hiatus, but only as a reserve for now. It's got silver and green. It's not too bad. I'll give it a 6.5. Not too bad. Lancer loves this track in the rain. He says in chat, many race wins here. Yeah, I don't mind this track. I didn't like it on F1 2021, but since then I've quite liked it. It's been a decent hunting ground for me, I think. And on this game, I think I'm better at it. So I'm interested to see how Tier 1 will go with all the aliens that have joined now from bloody X Esports. Thanks for that, Luca. But STRS Racing has the Verstappen helmet. Nothing to do with Verstappen. It's a default helmet, non-customizable, so it can only get 1 point out of 10. Robsu, black with a pink stripe. It's fine. Nothing exciting about it. Nothing terrible about it. I'll give it a 4, 5. Alex G has gone very Lewis Hamilton there with the sort of fluorescent yellow and purple. It's not too bad. I'll give it a 7.5. And LB will be the last we do because we're lining up on the grid. Not too bad at all. 6.5, 7 out of 10. That design is boring. That's all I'll say. But here we go. We're about to get started. We'll ride on board with Alex G until the lights go out, as Codemasters have not given us the camera angle that we want. But here we go. 3, 4, 5. Red lights. And we're underway for the APPF1 season. It's a great start from Robsu from P2 as they head towards turn 1. Dartner Hillis keeps pole position and keeps P1 through turn 1 as they go through. Is there going to be any contact in turn 1? It looks like everyone's gone through fairly cleanly. That's a pretty good start from everyone. Palang very defeatist, but he's gone up 3 places. Mania's lost 3 places. Disastrous start for him as they head into turn 3. Everyone getting through relatively cleanly. Great job tier 2 for a season opener at Australia. Palang with a 3-second time penalty already for multiple warnings. I don't know how he's managed that, but through they go into sector 2, and it's one by one as they go through now. As LB and Aces go side by side down the new straight, down towards turn 9 and 10. It looks like Aces is going to get the better of him. LB tucks in behind for the slipstream, and yeah, that's that for that battle. We've got yellow flags. That's Palang is round. He's got a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Sumo. Is there damage to Sumo's car? Not visibly, but we've got yellow flags as he gets his way back onto the track, and after a brilliant start he's now got no front wing, and I think we may see a lap 1 retirement in the pit lane from him. But Darther Hillis leads the race from the Finnish driver Robsu in the AlphaTauri, who had a fantastic start from P3. As they head towards the final corner. Ace is up 2 spots as well as Lawrence. Mania down 4, awful start for him. Enchilada down up 2 already, Sumo down 1. But other than that, everyone pretty as you were, other than the odd 1 or 2 place deficit. Palang is complaining. I don't know what he's talking about. What's wrong, Palang? What's happening? As they go through down towards turn 3, SDRS racing side by side with Alex into turn 3. It's a brilliant switchback from SDRS as Alex gets a little bit throttle happy on the exit of turn 3, and the McLaren driver back up to P3 after losing 2 places at the start. Lucas Rowe gets up a place, but he has a huge slide on the exit there, and Jackalacco comes back at him. He's going to get a much better exit out of this corner. Lucas Rowe surely a warning for track limits there as they head down towards 9 and 10, but the Ferrari driver is ahead as the 2 Alpines do battle now. The 2 Constructors champions from last season swap places. Lawrence gets past, and look at the straight line speed from Lawrence as he looks to the inside of turn 9 on Lucas Rowe, but doesn't send it. But that could have been a heck of a move from Lawrence as they head towards the final sector. But he just about kept it sensible, and Tier down the inside of Mania in the meantime. He's up to P11 as AP follows along. Sumo just behind as well, battling with Enchilada Dad, who's lost another couple places as he hits the back of Sumo as well. I wonder if that will have caused damage to his Williams. But SDRS Racing has the fastest lap now as they go into lap 3 of 29. The rain is still falling, so no sign of dry conditions yet, and that is the first track limits penalty for the top runners. It's SDRS who gets it. 3 seconds to his name. It won't be the last, trust me, but we'll see how many more there are in this race. Scott and Tier side by side through turn 3. Scott getting that move done. He's back up to P10, and there's been some fantastic racing so far. We're only on lap 3, but Tier 2 have done a brilliant job thus far here in Australia on the season opener. Lucas with a little bit of lag there. Hopefully that doesn't cause issues as Lawrence chases after him in his Alpine. Alex has lost touch of the top 3 a little bit, 1.2 seconds, but he's come back into it through turns 9 and 10. Brilliant couple corners there from the Ukrainian driver, and he's back within a second, if only briefly. As these top 3 continue to run. Robsu still chasing after Darth, who leads this one by 7/10. But obviously no DRS in the wet, so there's no real advantage other than slipstream down towards turns 9 and 10 of being close behind someone. But dirty air in the wet can be really difficult to deal with on this game, so we'll see. But I think setup differences as well are going to come into play here, especially if it gets dry later. It'll be fascinating to see who's on a dry setup and who's on a wet setup. It looks like SDRS is on a dry setup because that straight line speed is wild from the McLaren. He looks to the outside, then the inside, but chooses not to send it, but loses both of them time in the process to Darth. As Alex is losing time again, but Ace is losing time on him. So Alex, at the moment, in a bit of a lonely spot. So we'll see if that continues over the rest of the race. But he's, at the moment, comfortably the 4th fastest driver on the grid. From ahead and behind. Here comes SDRS again, but Robsu defends well. And this time, the AlphaTauri driver stays ahead. And in fact, is much closer to Darth now as well. Look at this. He's still got plenty of ERS left too. So does Darth. But, of course, ERS easy to save in the wet conditions. SDRS comes again for the outside line, but Robsu breaks late and defends well again. These two, some great battles so far. A little bit of grass for Robsu might cause him to go wide, and it has. As here's a chance for the McLaren driver of SDRS. Tries to go around the outside. It's going to be the inside for the final corner. Can he get this move done? They're still side by side on the exit. SDRS is going to be pushing that overtake button, but so is Robsu to try and stay ahead down towards turn 1, and SDRS has nothing to attack with, and all this is doing is helping Darth run away from them. It's a brilliant exit from the McLaren, but is there anything he can do with it? Yes, there is. He moves to the inside. It's a brilliant move from SDRS Racing, who had a torrid season last season. You could tell he had the pace up there, but he just couldn't unlock it. And he couldn't unlock it in the races and keep it on the track, and he really struggled for points as a result. But today, no such problems for him so far, as he's up to P2, but he does have that track limits penalty to contend with, and Robsu has got much more ERS in the tank than him, although it is easy to save in the wet conditions. As Alex now under pressure from Aces. Look at this, all this big contact between the two. How are they both still on the track? Oh my goodness me, I've no idea how they got through that. I was sure they were both going into the wall there, 100% confident. I do not know how they've gotten away with that, but they have. They're both still going somehow, and well, Alex under a lot of pressure here from the Haas. He's lost track of the top 3, and now Aces is after him. LB as well, 2-time tier 2 champion, never count him out, as well as these 2 Alpines, Lawrence and Jacko, 8th and 9th at the moment, but you can't count champions out at any point. As we head down into lap 6, it's Darth and Hillis with a 1.7 second lead over SDRS now, but that's come right down after turns 1 and 2. SDRS seems to be really good at the chicanes on this circuit, but elsewhere seems to struggle for pace. But we'll see for sure on this lap and the couple following, as he now has the clean air to try and chase after the race leader, with Robsu slowly losing track. I think Robsu definitely the slowest of these 3 on raw pace, but he does have a lot of ERS left to spend, and surely he'll use it down towards 9 and 10 here. No, he's keeping it at bay, even though he's got a full tank, which possibly a mistake from the Finnish driver. He's now 1.3 seconds behind as the McLaren of SDRS, now within a second of Darth. He is flying, is this McLaren driver, as he looks for his first ever Tier 2 podium, I believe. I don't think he's had a podium in Tier 2 before. It could be his first ever win if he continues this pace. Enchiladad with a 3-second penalty now, really struggling for pace here, although he is on a new account, so his settings might be a bit wonky, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But he's still keeping up with the pack for now, so he's not doing too bad, as Tier fights with AP for P12. Palang some 34 seconds down, but he did set the fastest lap. Tier into the pits. Is this an early stop for the soft tyres, I wonder? Perhaps. It does look like it stopped raining. I think Tier's taking a gap time penalties next to go. Oh no, it's a front wing change and another set of inters for Tier. So damage to the Ferrari as the other Ferrari meanwhile goes for a move on Lawrence. Actually, I think it's the other way around. Lawrence going around the outside, gets the switch back, and he's ahead of Lucas Rowe. Great move from the Season 9 champ. And Jacko's looking for a similar move. He's looking to the inside. Lucas Rowe forced wide to leave him room, and Jacko down the inside. Brilliant double move by the Alpines. Nothing Lucas Rowe could really do about it. He's lost 3 positions in 1 sector. It's going to be 4 positions in 2 sectors. What a disaster. Disastrous lap for Lucas Rowe. He's not going to believe that he's down in P11 now. He's P7 just a few corners ago. He's done nothing wrong. He's just been crowded out, really. No one did anything wrong in that exchange. He's just been so unlucky. Tier gets a 3-second time penalty now on his fresh intermediate tyres, as they all head down into the final sector. Darth Nihilus leads, but only by 3/10 from SDRS, who is chasing him down. Robsu already 3.5 seconds behind them. He has lost out massively to these guys. Alex still defending from aces for now, but here comes the Haas driver down towards turn 1. He looks to the inside. It would be a very brave move to go for it here. He backs out just before the corner. Sensible, but it could leave him under pressure from LB down towards turn 3 here. And it has done. Here comes the 2-time champ, but he doesn't send it into turn 3. Sensible driving from LB, but Alex putting up a staunch defense against these drivers at the moment. I think he's definitely not got the pace at the moment. As soon as they get past him, they will be gone from what it seems like at the moment, but he's doing his best to keep them behind. It's a lot easier in the wet, of course, as here comes the McLaren of SDRS. Palang's gone round at the final corner in the meantime, and he's out of the session, and that's a safety car. Safety car for Tier 2, lap 8 of 29. Will there be new intermediate tyres fitted to these cars? Are they all going to come into the pits? We'll have to wait and see. Robsu back in the race, and SDRS is going to be frustrated by that because of his time penalty that he's got. So that will drop him a few places down the order on paper. But Tier back in the race as well after his front wing change a couple of laps ago. But Palang out of the race. Darth Nihilus into the pits. Same with SDRS, but Robsu has stayed out. Here we go. So are Darth and SDRS planning to go to the end? No, they're planning to go onto the softs. They're going onto the slick tyres. It does look like it's stopped raining. It looks like it's getting drier. And now the setup differences are going to come into play. LB stays out as well, so it's an AlphaTauri 1-2. AP also stays out, so he's up to P3 now on those inters. But surely those top 3 are going to have to come in on this lap, and they're going to drop all the way to the back. Everyone else onto the slick tyres. Darth, the only one to go for softs, so he's committing to the 2-stop from here. I don't know if the mediums can make it from here. It's unclear, unsure about that one. The hards should be able to make it, but with difficulty. It won't be particularly easy towards the end of the race, but they'll make it. Lucas Rowe has gone on to a fresh set of inters, the only one to do so, and I think he might be realising his mistake now as he sees everyone around him on slicks. There is still spray out there, so it doesn't look dry yet. So it seems like a premature move, but remember the safety car is going to be out for another lap or two, which will allow the track to dry out even more, and by then, possibly, the slicks will be the way to go, and DRS will be enabled again, giving this race a new lease of life. But it's the 2 AlphaTauris, Robsu and LB, staying out on the inters. If it's not time for slicks when this safety car comes in, these intermediate runners are going to get a huge head start on those who've pitted here. It's a big gamble, but it could pay off. unless they decide that enough is enough and they decide it's time to come in. Robsu's decided that. He's got to be careful not to get disqualified. Don't get disqualified, Robsu, because sometimes the game can do it if you're ahead of the safety car in the pit lane for too long. I think he's gotten away with it. I think he's fine. So, phew, I was very worried he was about to get DSQ'd there. They've both come in for the slick tyres, have the AlphaTauris. It's a double stack, but it doesn't matter. They're both going to the back anyway. And Robsu exits in what's going to be P13. And, well, a strategic blunder there from the AlphaTauris for sure. They've gone from top 5 contenders, both of them, to 13th and 14th. And, well, an early season disaster for that team. We'll see if they can bounce back in the next 20 laps. Tia also back in it. So Lucas Rowe and AP, the only 2 drivers still on the intermediate tyres. Lucas Rowe pitted for them, but AP has stayed on the ones he had. He still doesn't think it's dry enough for the slicks. I think he may get a rude awakening here when the safety car comes in, and he is going to be a roadblock for everyone behind if the slicks have hit their moment. That's, yeah, fascinated. What a strategic Grand Prix this has turned out to be. Let's get my chat back up. There we go. Video playing so I don't lose chat on my phone. Safety car in this lap. Here we go then. There is still spray out there. Maybe AP and Lucas have made the right decision. We're about to find out. This is going to be absolute chaos, whether their decision is correct or wrong. But I think if they're wrong, it's going to be the worst chaos. But we will see. Here we go. Lap 11 of 29 we're just coming on to. AP decides when to go. AP Pals is leading an APPF1 race for the first time in goodness knows how long. As he comes down towards the final couple of corners, has he gambled correctly? Or is this going to be a horrible few laps as he gets overtaken by the entire grid? We're about to find out. He's coming around the final corner. Is he going to drop it here? Yes, he is. Through the final corner and on down towards turn 1. It's race on here in Australia once again. AP leads the Grand Prix down towards turn 1. If the and that's SDRS round at turn 1 already, locking the rears. The slicks are struggling. The slicks are really struggling, but for how long are they going to be struggling? That's the question. Aces looking to the outside of the McLaren, looks to the inside as they both brake later than they intended, I think. Lawrence just about surviving. That could have been a disaster. Somehow everyone survived that. I thought surely someone was going to go in the back of someone there, but doesn't look like it, as they're all safely through Sector 1. But AP now is being caught again by those slicks. So I think SDRS just an error on his part down towards turn 1. Perhaps cold tyres. Those hards going to be struggling in these conditions to start with. As here comes Lucas Rowe now. The Ferrari down the inside of Mania. He's made the move on the Inters. He's looking to the inside of Aces as well. Nearly hits the back of him as Aces goes very deep. But those Inters still looking okay at the moment. It's right on the crossover, I think. And Lucas Rowe making the most of the tyres he's got, but he is going to have to come into the pits at some point if it does dry up anymore. But there is still spray out there. It's this weird limbo between slicks and inters at the moment, and I can't quite figure out what the better strategy is here. Lucas Rowe might have gotten this perfectly right, who knows. He is definitely going to have to stop again if the conditions do get better. But here we go down towards turn 1. We'll see at the end of this lap if DRS gets enabled, and then we'll know for sure. But Lucas Rowe makes the move on the McLaren. He's up to P5 now on those fresh inters, and AP is still leading this race, but not for long. Darth Hillis down the inside into turn 3. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can, and Darth retakes the lead on the soft tyres though, so he will have to stop again. Alex and Lawrence battling for P3 in the meantime. Alex on the mediums round the outside off turn 6, just about makes it work. But I think he's acting as a bit of a roadblock here, especially with Lucas Rowe behind on those inters. I think Lucas Rowe's the fastest driver on track at the moment, I think, on those fresh intermediate tyres, but only because they're fresh. And it's going to be a struggle for him as he has to brake on the straight not to overtake Alex. He should have gone for it there around the outside, I think, but he didn't want to go for it. He just wanted to stay behind, and now he's going to go for it down towards the next corner. Using that overtake button, he's going to go round the outside, and those fresh intermediate tyres used to full effect, but he's gone too deep, and he cannot keep the move, let the move stick, and he's lost position back to Lawrence. And I think he should have committed down towards turn 9, but he just didn't have the bottle to do it, and he's lost a position as a result. Back down to P5 and struggling now. I think he's got more grip than he thinks he does, and SDRS, or he's being surprised by the amount of grip he's got. DRS is enabled, so it's really weird, these conditions right now. I can't quite tell which tyre is better. I think the slicks are slowly becoming better, but very slowly. There's a bit of contact between McLaren and Mercedes as they go down towards turn 3, but I don't think anything particularly bad there. Scott and Robsu having a little battle in the meantime. Robsu, I think maybe getting past Enchilada Dad, or maybe Scott getting past him, I'm not quite sure, but the AlphaTauris are the grid. Look at the spray out there. I'm shocked DRS is enabled, but it is. So the game thinks it's dry enough. Darth has a 4-second lead now, but he is going to have to pit on those off those soft tyres and get onto another compound. Robsu gets overtaken back by Enchilada Dad, and the Williams up to P11 again. But through turn 10 they go, and it's struggle for all those drivers. You saw how many of them slid on the exit there. We've got Jack Alaco, defending champion, making a move on Mania. He's sitting in a lowly P9 right now. Struggling at the moment in these conditions. Remember, he's turned ABS off as well for this season to give himself a bit more of a challenge. But he's doing a decent job at the moment, but not good enough. Lucas Rowe has decided enough is enough. AP has decided the same. They've seen DRS get enabled, and they've gone onto the slick tyres as they need to. SDRS sets the fastest lap, and that's going to continue to come down and down over the rest of this race. It is definitely dry out there now, and AP and Lucas made the gamble, but it was the wrong decision, and they're going to be right at the back of the grid now for the rest of this race, unless they get a lucky safety car, which they may get. There's yellow flags, but I think, well, that's both of them coming out the pits, so I'm not sure what that yellow was for. But Scott chasing after Mania in the meantime. Jacko getting passed, in fact, by Scott, because he was the one pressuring Mania until a few moments ago. And but here comes Jacko back at the Haas driver. They're both going to have DRS here. SDRS getting past Lawrence in the meantime in the McLaren. He's up to P2, and he's looking for his first APPF1 race win here. We've got Jack Alaco unable to make the move on Scott. He's gone deep as well, and Enchilada Dad is slowly getting back into this race after languishing at the back of the grid for most of it. He's up to P9 now and climbing, although he does have that time penalty to contend with. Nearly goes into the back of Jacko there, but just about avoids him. As Robsu getting past Sumo, he's into the top 10 now as well. LB struggling down in P12 as it stands. The two Ferraris, oh, how it's gone wrong for them, as well as the AlphaTauris today. Darth setting the fastest lap, of course, and like I say, it's going to continue to come down. SDRS setting the fastest lap now, and he is looking very, very quick out there. LB and Tier into the pits. Palang may have retired prematurely here, because we do now have the dry conditions that he wanted, so he could have had a good race, because we did have that safety car, and he could have had a good go at it, but he's retired from the race. He's had enough of the conditions. LB and Tier both into the pits, perhaps damage for them both. That's maybe why LB was struggling so much. Scott looks like he was going slow through that. Is he fully pressing the throttle? Yes, he is. Is there damage to the Haas? Yes, there is. There's no front right end plate on Scott's car, and that is such a shame for the British driver. He's going to have to come in as well and replace that front wing as there's, oh my goodness, 3 wide down towards turn 9. Robsu, Sumo and Jacko right together, and Jacko loses the place to Sumo. Sumo up to P9, and now it's dry conditions. He is flying out there by the looks of it. Here he comes again. Look at the straight line speed. He's got a dry setup on. That's why he was struggling so much in the wet. It wasn't just a skill issue. He's got a dry setup, and he is going to be carving his way through this grid now. Although I've mentioned him now, so he's definitely going to crash now that I've said that. Watch this. He'll crash out the final corner. Watch this. Okay, no, but I would have been so cool if I predicted that, right? SGRS, fastest lap again. It's just fastest lap after fastest lap for him. Jacko and Scott both in. Damage to them both. It's a disastrous season opener for the defending champion. He's going to drop right to the back. Darth now leads only by 3.5 seconds. It was over 5 just a few laps ago, and he's struggling on those softs. He's going to have to come in, and he's going to drop all the way down. He will have the opportunity to fight his way back up, but he is in a pickle here. And Lawrence, the master of winning season openers in Tier 2, I think he's won 4 or 5 season openers. But he's only won 1 title. But here he is in P3, and with SDRS's time penalty, Lawrence is currently in a net P2, and it's going to be a net race lead once Darth pits. So huge potential for Lawrence here to take an early championship lead by winning the season opener once again. Ace is getting past Alex in the meantime, finally getting that move done. He's stared at the back of that Mercedes for a long time in this Grand Prix, but now DRS is enabled. He's able to get past, and he's up into the top 4 and chasing after a podium here to start off with. Who's that's round? It's Aston Martin. It's AP round at turn 10, the dreaded turn 10, and he drops a couple of positions due to that. I think more than a couple, actually. Robsu now setting the fastest lap as he charges back up. He's up to P7 now, and chasing after Mania, who's running in a strong P6. But I have to say, the racing today has been phenomenal. What a season opener. A great introduction to APPF1 to any new viewers today. So well done everyone in Tier 2 so far. Of course, now I've said that, there's going to be a massive, like, 3 or 4 car collision. But, you know, so far it's been great to watch. Alex G, though, with a terrible exit. I wonder if there's damage. Yes, there is. There's no front right end plate. And it's a disaster for Alex G after he's looking so strong. So many drivers have gotten damage while I wasn't looking today. Sumo around the outside of Enchilada Dad. It's going to be the inside for turn 10. They're still side by side. Enchilada backs out, and Sumo is up to P7 as they both get past Alex, although Alex putting up a defense against Enchilada Dad despite the wing damage, but it's only going to last 1 corner as he goes deep, and the Williams back up to P8. And what a recovery from him. Robsu, Enchilada Dad, Sumo on brilliant recovery drives right now. Darth's lead cut to 3 seconds, and Lawrence has got the DRS on the McLaren and is chasing after him here. SDRS has been the fastest driver on track today, but with that penalty, it might not matter, and with that overtake, it might not matter. Lawrence up to P2, but he's gone deep, and it's a beautiful switchback from SDRS, but the writing may be on the wall for this McLaren driver as the Season 9 champion is on the warpath here after a poor season last season by his standards. He is looking to take the championship lead early on. There's still a long way to go in this race, still 11.5 laps, but Lawrence at the moment in a fantastic position. DRS enabled down towards turn 9. But can't make the move there, but what an exit out of turn 10, and this could be it. Lawrence up to P2 on track. With the DRS, there's nothing that SDRS can do about it, and he has been demoted to P3, if only for now. As long as he can stay with Lawrence, he'll have an opportunity to retake that place, but that time penalty is going to be very costly at the moment. to his chances of winning this one. Darth Nihilus is struggling. I wonder if he's going to try and go to the end on those softs. It would be quite the feat if he did, but I really don't think he can do it. He's already losing time to the cars behind him. And Lawrence really in the driving seat here. Ace is in a net podium as well. Don't forget about him. Those mediums should make it to the end with difficulty, but they should make it. 2.8 seconds between him and SDRS, who's got a 3-second penalty, so it's far from over. Robsu's in this as well, don't forget. He's only 3 seconds down, but he has looked rapid today. And Mania continuing to chase after him as Sumo defends from Enchilada Dad here down towards turn 9. Is there going to be a move for the Williams here with the DRS? Perhaps Mania can make a move on Robsu as well. DRS down towards 9 is absolutely crazy. It's so powerful, as you can see by that closing speed for the Aston Martin. But no moves for either driver on this occasion. As all the drivers who've taken damage having to languish around at the back. Alex G down in P15 at the moment, only going to score 1 point from this Grand Prix as it stands, after it was looking so good for him. It's looking like a shoe-in for the top 5, but one moment can cost you everything in Formula 1, and it's certainly seeming to cost him at the moment. He's got DRS though on Scott. Can he make a move? He's looking to the outside, he's going for it, down in towards turn 11, but Scott keeps the inside line, gets the throttle on and keeps the place. But you've got to think the writing's on the wall here for the Haas, as Alex G wants to do a little bit of a recovery, and Scott goes deep at the penultimate corner, and that is job done for the Ukrainian driver. Lucas Rowe with another 3-second time penalty. I think that's him up to 6. Yes, it is. Tier also on 6, with SDRS and Enchilada Dads, aka Sviornik, both on 3. Darth Nihilus, though, extending his gap again. 3.5 seconds now between him and Lawrence. Definitely think Lawrence has got a dry setup on as well, because he had a lot more straight line speed than SDRS, but a big mistake there out of turn 10 could cost him the place again. Here comes the McLaren, but no. Very sensible not to send it there. There's no need at all. There's still 9.5 laps left to go. There's no need to send it there, especially when Darth is definitely going to start struggling on those softs if he tries to take them to the end, which I think is what he's doing. He would have pit by now if he wanted to pit again. So he's really going for it on those softs. It's working for now, but how long until they fall off the cliff, I wonder? That's the question. Alex, in the meantime, up to P13 now as this recovery continues. It's P12 net due to Tier's penalty. So he's salvaged a few points at the moment, but still a long way to go in this Grand Prix. 9 laps of racing left to do, as Darth Nihilus still leads by 3.3 seconds from Lawrence. That gap has not come down. Alex now with the fastest lap, salvaging yet another point. So he's doing a good job out there in that Mercedes after his unfortunate damage earlier on. Here comes the McLaren though. The DRS too strong for Lawrence to keep him behind, and SDRS back into P2 on track. But he's got to keep an eye on Aces here. Aces in a bit of a lonely spot at the moment. 3 seconds to the car ahead, 3 seconds to the car behind as well. But if he can get within 3 seconds of SDRS by the end of this race, then he'll have himself a podium in this one for certain. But Darth's lead has come down to 2.5 seconds now. Are those softs starting to fall away, I wonder? It's gone back up again, so maybe just a mistake from the Red Bull driver. But if the tyres are going, those mistakes are going to become more and more frequent, as Lawrence uses the DRS up to turn 1, but can't quite make the move. Alex makes another move in the meantime, up to P12 now on Tier, and Tier losing the place to AP as well, because he's got damage once again. Front right end plate for Tier, and it's been a horrible season opener for him. That's such a shame. We've got yellow flags. Scott's out. Scott's binned it. Is that a full safety car? No, it's a virtual safety car, and Darth Well, he would have loved a safety car at this point. That would have been perfect for him. So a VSC, it's only going to neutralize proceedings for a little bit, but Scott has binned it at what looked like the final corner, but maybe the penultimate corner, because it was just before the last corner where his dot became stationary on the minimap. Underway. We'll get green flags again very shortly, but Darth has got to be careful here. He can't use too much of his delta, because he'll bring the two chasing cars back into the fight, and that's exactly what's happened. 1.2 seconds as we get green flags again. No one gets a drive through, so Darth, just being overly cautious with the delta, has cost him big time. He's lost 2.5 seconds to the chasing cars, and SDRS Racing just needs another few tenths to be within DRS, and suddenly Darth is going to be in big trouble towards the end of this Grand Prix if he wasn't already. Bit of a mistake from the McLaren out of turn 1, but nothing too substantial. Aces as well, within 2.9 of Lawrence. It's going to be very close for that last podium place. But Darth, his soft tyres are falling away, and he is now in DRS range for the McLaren. 9.5 tenths. Where's the DRS detection point? I think it was just there. So there's DRS now for SDRS Racing. AP gets a time penalty further back. But here we go. Darth in big trouble here. The Season 6 champion, far too conservative with his delta under the VSC, and it's brought him right back into the clutches of the cars behind. It was a beautiful turn 10 from the Red Bull, but it's not going to be enough to save him from being under attack here. SDRS and Lawrence in this fight for the lead, and Aces as well. He's only 3 seconds down. As soon as these three start to fight too hard, Aces is going to be brought right back into this, and SDRS Racing could end up off the podium here after a wonderful performance, but that time penalty could end up being very costly indeed for the McLaren driver. As they go through turn 1, no overtakes here, but the real overtaking spot is the run to turn 9. That's where we're going to see fireworks, and Lawrence is in this battle as well. He is hungry for a race win. He knows how to win season openers. He's done it plenty of times. Lucas Rowe back in the pit, so possibly going for fastest lap, possibly damage to the Ferrari, I'm not sure, but we've got to keep track of these top three here as they go down towards turn 9 now. Here comes the McLaren of SDRS Racing. Darth is using his ERS. Can the DRS be enough to get past? I think it's going to be more than enough. Here comes the McLaren round the outside, but he's gotten off his overtake button, but he sends it around the outside and he makes the move, sweeps around at turn 9, and SDRS Racing leads this Grand Prix once again. Lawrence D also making his way past Darth, as there was no DRS for the Red Bull in the double DRS zone down towards turn 12, and Darth from a 3.5, in fact a 5.5, if not more, second lead just 5-6 laps, maybe 7 laps ago. Now P3 and falling fast on those soft tyres. He's still got to do another 5 laps on them, and they're already starting to fall away. Aces might not even need the 3-second margin to get on the podium here, because Darth is struggling. And Robsu and the train behind him is also going to be brought into this. Robsu, Mania, Sumo and Enchiladadad, although the latter of which with that time penalty to his name as well. That's going to cost him any chance of moving up any positions as it stands. The drivers who had to pit for damage, LB, Jacko, Alex, AP, and then the 2 Ferraris of Lucas and Tia as they were in that order. Jacko now getting a time penalty. It's been a horrible season opener for the defending champion, and he's going to have to do a lot more in the next few races to make up that gap. But, well, he has turned ABS off for this season, but even so, it's been not the season opener he would have wanted. As Sumo sweeps around the outside of Mania. What a brave overtake that was from my podcast partner. And here comes Enchiladadad on the Aston Martin as well. There's no ERS on the Aston Martin, and Enchiladadad spots it. But he can't quite make the move stick, just gets too much on that curb, but no contact. Beautiful racing between them, and Sumo's into the top 6 now, with Robsu ahead. Darth into the pits, he doesn't think they can make it, he's scared of a puncture, and Darth is going to drop all the way to the back. It's been a strategy disaster class from the Mexican driver in this season opener. He will surely get the fastest lap, but he's going to be down to P9, perhaps even P10 as he comes out the pits. No, it'll be P9, just ahead of Jacko. But wow, what a disaster for Darth Nihilus. And now suddenly Lawrence leads the Australian Grand Prix on track, on merit, ahead of SDRS, but here comes the McLaren. He does have that penalty, so he's going to need a lot more if he wants to get this race win, but he is now definitely on track for a podium as he makes that move down the inside, and DRS was enough for him to do that, but Lawrence just has to stay relatively close by, and he will win yet another APPF1 Tier 2 season opener. Sumo into the top 5 now, thanks to Darth's pit stop, with Mania just behind. He's having a good race as well, Mania. What a good Grand Prix from him, but both of them have a little slide out of that corner, so a mini curse there, just as I praised them. Enchiladad, what a recovery from him as well, despite the time penalty. It's not going to cost him anything as it stands, as Lawrence gets back past the McLaren into P1, down towards turn 1. Not a usual overtaking spot, but he's made it work, and he's back into the lead with 3 laps to go as SDRS nearly into the back of him. That was nearly a masterclass bottle job from the McLaren, but he's just about held it together and not taken out Lawrence. But I mean, if he can keep this up, even if he doesn't get this race win, which it looks like he won't, but even so, what a performance from him, and he's made himself into a very strong contender this season. If he can keep this form up, he re-overtakes Lawrence with the DRS up to first place. With 2.5 laps left to go. Ace is 4 seconds behind, so he's not really in contention. I think those mediums starting to drop off compared to the hards. So unless SDRS has a big mess up, I think Aces is going to be a very lonely P3 here. But Robsu, what a recovery from him as well. He was all the way in P15, or P14, sorry, at the safety car, and he's come all the way back to 4th place. What a brilliant drive it's been from the Finnish driver. He's just got to keep it going for a few more laps now. 2 more laps to go in this Grand Prix, and he'll have himself a very strong result. Mania just behind the Mercedes driver is how I'm now going to refer to him until the end of the race, to avoid an untimely curse. Darth Nihilus chasing after LB. Does he have the fastest lap now? No, Luke Esro still has it. So can Darth take that extra point from the Ferrari driver? It remains to be seen. Tear into the pits for fastest lap as well. He was already in last place. He might as well, as his teammate gets past Alex for P11, but that time penalty is going to drop him back behind again come the end of this one, as Lawrence and SDRS side by side again, nearly contact between the two, but Lawrence just about ahead. But what a brilliant late braking maneuver from SDRS Racing all the way round the outside, and he keeps the lead, but perhaps Lawrence just let him go there. It's difficult to say, really, but Lawrence knows he doesn't have to fight this to win this Grand Prix. Darth Nihilus, meanwhile, getting past LB for P8 as he continues his small recovery, but he's not going to have enough time to gain any other positions other than the one from Enchiladad, who's got the time penalty. So he should get P7 here, Darth, but wow, from a dead certain podium to P7, thanks to a strategic blunder from the Red Bull driver on his return as a reserve driver, which is a shame, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Jacko with another time penalty. He smacks into the wall at turn 2. He's really not enjoying this Australian circuit. here in Melbourne today, and the defending champ has a lot of work to do. SDRS leads by over a second now from Lawrence. He's broken DRS, but it's not going to be enough as long as Lawrence keeps it together in this final sector now. 3 seconds is the time penalty to SDRS due to track limits, and here we go into the last few corners of the Australian Grand Prix. SDRS with a big mistake on the exit of that corner. That could have been a disaster on the final lap, but it's still a fantastic performance from SDRS from the woes of last season. He was so unlucky every week last season, but he's going to come home today in P1 on track, but it's going to be P2 after the penalty. Lawrence wins the Australian Grand Prix, another season opener victory for the Season 9 champion. To add to his growing tally, and he will lead the championship. Aces with a brilliant podium in the end. Robsu, a fantastic drive to P4. Sumo Gilligan in the top 5. He is going to be delighted with that one. What a drive from him after only finishing, I believe, 4 races last season. It might even have been 3. But today he finishes 5th place. Ignore that, that's because SDRS left the session early, so it's put him in DNF, but he is P2, I promise. Mania finishes in P6. What a drive from him as well. Great effort there. Darth Nihilus in 7th place in the end after that late pit stop that he had to make. I think he was worried about a puncture. But yeah, very much a strategic error from the Mexican driver. Driver of the day goes to Lawrence from the game. My driver of the day is SDRS, without question. Coming back from an awful season, to put in a P2 performance on the opening day is one heck of a drive. So well done to him. But Sumo, a close second for driver of the day. What a drive, he says in the chat, and I agree 100%. He says he's scammed. Mate, you and SDRS both had equally awful seasons. So you know, but both I'm very, very happy for both of you. You both fully deserve those results. So congratulations. The champagne is out. And it's Lawrence D, the Season 9 Tier 2 champ, who is back on top here today in Australia with a race win. It's SDRS Racing with a wonderful drive off the back of an awful season for P2, with Aces up there in P3, another podium for him, a great effort there. Robsu finishes in P4, what a recovery from 14th at the safety car. Sumo Gilligan, what a drive. P5, 100% his best drive in Tier 2 ever as a permanent driver. Mania in P6, great drive from him as well. Darth, a disappointing P7 after the strategic blunder. And then the drivers who had to pit. LB P7, Enchiladad P8, still a good drive from him as well though. Alex G in P10, sorry. Jacko 11th in the end. AP in P12. And then it's Lucas Rowe and Tia, the last of the finishers, with Palang and Scott. Both are casualties from this Grand Prix. But what a race and what a season opener. Absolutely loved watching that. Well done, Tier 2. Fantastic show. And what an introduction to APPF1. Thank you, everyone. But, well, that'll do for today. We're going to have interviews in a... so we can interview our top 3. Let's see. Create party. There we go. I'm just going to wait for the top 3 to join for interviews. Let's see if they can join us. Lawrence, SDRS, and Aces. Feel free to join for interviews. So we'll wait for them to get in. Got aces in. Gotta wait for Lawrence and SDRS Racing as well. We'll give them another minute or two. Alright, looks like we've got Lawrence in, so we'll see if SDRS Racing can make it as well. Give him another little bit of time, but if not, we'll start without him. Alright, well, we'll just get started without him for now. So, Lawrence, another season opener victory to add to your tally. I think, what, the 5th or 6th season opener win for you in Tier 2, and back on top once again. How's it feel?
It's been a long time coming. I'm not sure whether that's a genuine penalty for Patterson. I noticed he got a 3 second. I think he had like a half spin into turn 1. Like on the dry tyres when it was wet, so I'm not sure whether he's got a genuine penalty there or not. He just put me to 9 towards the end. My tyres gave up on that last lap, especially like in sector 2. They just didn't want to know. But overall, yeah, I thought it was a good, strong race. I think I picked up quite a few positions on the pit stop. I don't know whether there was teammates double stacking or anything, but it looked like I got up to like a net P3, P4, and yeah, just went on from there really. Darth had a monstrous drive on the softs. I thought he was going to try and push them all the way to the end, but I'm guessing he must have been very borderline to getting a puncture.
Yeah, I assumed so too, but I mean, we'll shortly find out if the penalty was genuine. But I mean, for now, after qualifying, I'm not sure how much you were expecting from this Grand Prix. Were you aware that it was going to go dry? Did you put on a dry setup?
No, I just loaded the setup. I did some practice yesterday, and this setup felt quite good in the dry as well. Sorry, in the wet. So I just gave it a go. Unfortunately, I left the pits too late to set a fast lap. Also, I'd like to apologise to Tier. I've definitely got a slam dunk penalty coming my way if I left the pits and completely blocked him onto turn 1 when we were just starting a fast run.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a slam dunk penalty. I'll report myself after this. So yeah, once again, if he's watching this or does listen, I'd like to apologise. I've apologised directly to him.
Well, nonetheless, still a fantastic drive. It's good to see you back on top, if only for now, anyways.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, Sumo's crying about not getting driver of the day from the game. He knows it's driver of the day. It's fully deserved. He's just watched, unfortunately.
Well, thank you, Lawrence, and good luck for the rest of the season. Great start.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for the comms. I'll catch you next week.
No problem, as always. So moving on to SDRS Racing. I haven't gotten the chance to talk to you ever before. Make sure you go to Party Voice Chat, go to the 3 dots that say More, and then to Voice Chat Settings, and then put Share Your Voice on Allow if it isn't already, so the stream can hear you. But welcome to Podium Interviews for the first time, and what a drive! Yeah,
There we go.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it was a good, really good race. As soon as I saw the wet, I was not really sure what to do, so I put the wet setup on, and I think that cost me in the race. But then again, I don't think I'd have been at the top if I hadn't put a wet setup. So yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mean, I think it's fair to say a bit of a disaster of last season.
Mm.
To be on the podium today, and well, after Lawrence's qualifying penalty, that's surely soon to come, it's going
Yeah,
to be a race win for you. So, I mean,
yeah.
congratulations.
No,
Um,
cheers.
and yeah, how was that race for you in general, though? Because it seemed like a tough one.
It was extremely. Since I've been practicing all day, I've really struggled, and I think I had 3 incidents where I didn't impede anyone, but I I just locked up, lost about 3 or 4 positions,
Yeah.
and that happened to me twice, and I had to bring it back. But as I said, when I had the wet setup, I was great. When I was on the dry setup, it was really tough. And then Lawrence came along to come and spoil the party. But it was a really good battle. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, I thought the guy in P1 on the softs was going to go all the way. I thought that was insane. It was really good driving. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the season. Get McLaren back on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, assuming that penalty goes through, you're going to be the championship leader. I I really should compile a stat for how many people have ever led a championship in APP. But anyway, so congratulations for that. Um,
Cheers.
in terms of the rest of the season, how are you feeling? Has this bolstered your confidence back up? Are you feeling good for the coming weeks?
I am. I am. To be honest with you, the calendar's great, but it doesn't suit my driving style.
Right.
I think there's probably one track left that is a favourite of mine, but the rest are not. So I've got to put a lot of practice in, but that's a challenge, right? And
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Well, great to hear from you, and congratulations on a maiden podium slash win, depending on what happens with the stewards.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Catch
Well,
you next week.
yeah, indeed. Hopefully back here again.
Yes, fingers crossed. Cheers for the comms.
No problem as always. So
Take care, buddy.
we come to our P3 finisher, Aces. Another podium for you, mate. Good to see you back again, and well, perhaps another championship charge. But for today, you've got to be happy with that.
To be fair, I'll take that as a W, mate. I had no pace whatsoever today. Literally, I just couldn't get it together. So P3, mate, I'll take that. Possibly P2, depending on penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like the other two have said, it was a very tough race, and you did well to get through it. I mean, it seemed like you were in a lot of battling in the first stint, especially in the wet. So talk us through that. How was that? Were there any dicey moments, or was it all plain sailing?
Well, to be fair, I got a half decent start. I think a couple of cars, turn one, came together, give me a nice opening around the outside, and then I lost a good 4 seconds when me and Alex were battling. There was a very, very, very squeaky bum moment going down the long straight just before that far chicane. Literally side by side, and I thought I was
Oh
alongside him.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
I
if he
saw
lost
it.
the rear or what, but he literally just came over to me. I literally hit the barrier, but luckily I hit it side on and not front on, because it
Yeah,
would have been game over. Managed to
yeah.
get no damage. Yeah, go on.
Y- Yeah, no, I saw that live. I couldn't believe you were both still going in a straight line.
Yeah, literally.
I thought as soon as soon as you touched, I thought, oh, yeah, they're both gone, and then somehow you were still going.
I don't know if he had it was possibly a bit of lag on his behalf, but oh mate, I shited myself. I ain't even gonna lie. But yeah, to be fair, the wet, I didn't feel too bad in the wet. I was just managing, and then we got to dry, and I don't know if it was my setup or just didn't agree with me. I just didn't feel comfortable in the car. Every time I go into a fast right-hander, I felt like I was losing the rear a bit. So I was just managing, and then Robson was coming at me at the end. I had 2 warnings, so I just thought, just don't get another warning, don't get another
Yeah.
warning. So he managed to catch me real quickly, to be fair. As you saw going down the last,
Yeah.
at the last corner, he was on my arse, but I managed to save my ERS just for that corner. But yeah, as I say, I'll take P3, possibly a P2 at the season opener when I've had no pace. On to the next, mate. Just gonna try and come back stronger next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after you got very acquainted with the rear wing of the Mercedes in the first stint. Seemed like a bit of a lonely second stint for much of it. Was it difficult to keep your concentration, or were you just focused on the track limits penalty?
I actually think that bit with the Mercedes ruined my rhythm because I felt like I was
Yeah,
in a rhythm, and then I had that heart-stopping moment, and then
yeah,
I just felt nervous when I was driving. Just felt like the car it's like the car had damage, but it didn't. But I kept
yeah.
checking, but it kept saying no, tires are fine. So I don't know if it was a glitch and I did have damage, but bloody hell, it was sweaty, man. I ain't gonna lie.
All right. Well, congrats on another podium, and well, good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully, it's all as good as the race today.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. And hopefully I'll bring pace in the next race. That's what I need.
Well, I hope so for your sake. But thank you to all our 3 drivers who interviewed, and thank you to all of you for watching, and thank you to all of our drivers today, because that was a phenomenal Grand Prix. I think there was some brilliant racing up and down the grid all race long, so well done Tier 2. What an opening to the season, and well, Tier 1 and Elite, your move to beat a race like that. So thank you to everyone today. And we will be back again for more Tier 2 in China for the one and only sprint round of the season next week on Tuesday at the same time as usual. So thank you all ever so much for watching, and have a lovely rest of your week, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.